It's okay. No, you have a right to do that, and I respect you for that, because we have to take a serious look at where we're going in this country, and the things that are happening are being surfaced by persons like yourself and Glenn Beck and some other people in that. We have to make the public aware that we've got a serious problem here, and when you can take the life of the president and do whatever you want with that, from that point on, there's nothing else that has to fear you.
Has Glenn Beck covered JFK?
I don't think so.
Yeah, I mean, he does do some good work. I'm sad. I think I actually have seen videos of him criticizing it, but maybe he'll wake up. Maybe he's going in the right direction there, but I guess he is about as good as it gets in mainstream media. It's just that, maybe we should contact Glenn Beck and try to get you on his show. I mean, you're a retired FBI agent. We've got these tapes. This is powerful evidence.
Anything that you can do to help me to get there, that's been my total motivation.
Well, we know, listen. If I wear a "Don't Tread on Me" shirt under a suit, he wears it. If I do jokes and go, "Oh, I'm afraid," so don't worry. Glenn Beck's people are watching and listening right now, and so I would ask them to have you on. But sorry, sir, go ahead.
Oh no, that's fine. I appreciate that very much. But what I was going to tell you is that the total picture of this thing, to sum it up in that, is Oswald does not do the shooting, and yet they spent over 2,000 publications naming him and saying this him. I just recently gave a talk, and as soon as I finished making my statement that he had a bullet hole in his throat, and that he didn't do the shooting because he was down in the break room at the exact moment that the shooting was taking place, in that a lady was standing there, and she says, "I know that Oswald was the shooter, and I know that he was the person that committed the crime."
And she knows that the Easter Bunny is real as well.
Exactly right. Exactly right. So it's sometimes it's defeating what you're trying to do, but we have to understand that this stuff has been pounded into these people's heads for 47 years that Oswald's a shooter.
Well, by the way, Mr. Adams, you go over the evidence, but backing you up, the Parkland doctors put on the report he'd been shot in the throat. But I don't need to hear it from the doctors. You see him, boom, get hit in the throat, and then he gets shot several more times. I mean, we know what happened, but we have the doctor's own reports. I mean,
sure, Dr. Crenshaw, Charles Crenshaw, and he administered to him. And the first thing he walked into trauma room 1 was as soon as they had the president laying there on the gurney, he said, "Hell, he's got a bullet hole in his throat." And he didn't make his publication, JFK Conspiracy of Silence, until 1992. And the reason that he waited that long was because he was afraid that he would lose his medical profession if he came forth with the truth.
Well, I've interviewed Grudy. He came to one of my events, and he, of course, was the Undertaker.
Okay.
And the FBI came in with Lee Harvey Oswald, put ink on his hand, and to make sure the prints stayed there, and put the prints on the rifle. Did you know that?
I had heard that. I had heard that there was no prints on the rifle, that they were put on afterwards. And I also know this, that the first weapon that they found in there was a Mauser. And then all of a sudden the Mauser disappears, because there's a picture of a police officer holding the Mauser up in the air. And the next thing, it shows the picture of the man like a Carcona as the weapon that killed the president. But when if we sat down and we listed all these things, Alex, and marked them as one item of evidence, and that, it would shock you.
Oh, I know. There's just hundreds and hundreds in it.
Sure.
And I mean, I've interviewed LBJ's admitted mistress. I mean, it's all on record.
Yeah.
I mean, it's ridiculous.
You talked about that meeting at Murchison's house. When the hell do you ever find LBJ and President Nixon in the same meeting with J. Edgar Hoover? I mean, at Murchison's house, and H.L. Hunt there, and when they said they walked out, a woman overheard President LBJ make a comment that
G.D. Kennedy will never bother me again.
Yep.
Never embarrass me again.
Yep. Now think about that. With the knowledge that all these people had for so long, he was defending the Warren Commission, and the Warren Commission was a joke.
Well, listen, I'm from Austin, okay, and my family's been here since the 50s, and all of these people involved got off on the power of LBJ and all his gangsters and thugs. They bragged. At cocktail parties, they might as well gone up on church roofs and beat their chest. Yeah. They're very proud of it.
Sure.
I mean, that's an enjoyment for them. And then, you know, the sheeple want to suck their thumbs. Let's take a phone call. Andy in Connecticut, you're on the air with retired FBI agent Don Adams. Go ahead.
Hey, how you doing?
Hi, Eddie.
I had a quick question for you. I've always been interested in just, I guess, the truth. Real history is way more interesting than the stuff we learn in school. When my father learned that I was getting into conspiracy theories, as he would call them, he got me into JFK because that was always of interest of his. But he said that he will go to his grave knowing that Oswald did it. And he sat me down and forget what news segment it was, but it was like an hour-long, almost like recreated CGI saying, we're going to find out if there is a conspiracy theory because JFK was a great president. We want to
And
prove.
they use fake evidence in all those. I mean, these aren't conspiracy theories. We just gave you facts. Facts.
Andy, when you talk in terms, it is Andy, right?
Yes.
When you talk in terms of a bullet hole in the president's throat, and it doesn't exit the back of his neck because it went through a windshield, and that slowed the projectile down to where it didn't go through the back of his neck, and that
Partially spent.
Yes, and then you have the president, the future president of the United States, Gerald Ford. When he's on that commission, he moves that bullet 5 inches up and 2 inches to the right to be able to put a hole in the back of the neck to be able to say that Oswald shot him from the book depository. So I'm telling you 100%, believe me, Andy, that Oswald did not...
Andy, stay there. Stay there. Everybody stay there.
Hi, this is Alex Jones. Did you know that the global elite are now storing non-hybrid seeds in secret storage vaults near the Arctic Circle? Did you know that in a real meltdown, non-hybrid seeds can become more valuable than silver or gold? It's true, seeds have outperformed even gold and silver before in this country, and it's possible that it could even happen again. So our friends at Solutions from Science have put together the perfect mix of non-hybrid seeds. They call it a survival seed bank, and it can produce an endless supply of nutrient-dense food for you and your family. And here's the best part. These seeds have not been genetically modified in any way, and you actually get enough seeds to plant a full-acre crisis garden. So visit them today at survivalseedbank.com. That's survivalseedbank.com, or give them a call at 877-327-0365. That's 877-327-0365. Remember, in a real crisis, non-hybrid seeds are the ultimate barter item. This is Alex Jones for survivalseedbank.com.
This may surprise you. Type 2 diabetes has reached epidemic proportions among both adults and children. You or someone you know may have it. Managing type 2 diabetes in conventional ways is a never-ending task. But this good news may also surprise you. A recent UCLA study proved that type 2 diabetes can be reversed in only 21 days. Purium Health Products recently developed a product that mimics the healthy diet used in that UCLA study, called Scoop of Greens, an easy, great-tasting, affordable way to give your body the nutritional tools to help it overcome type 2 diabetes. Scoop of Greens has been awarded the Diabetes Resource Center seal of approval, so you know it's safe. See Scoop of Greens and other world-class whole living foods and nutraceuticals at diabetichealthsolution.com. To order, call 888-747-6733. That's 888-747-6733. Mention GCN for a healthy discount and ask about the buy 3 get 1 free special. Start keeping type 2 diabetes in check at diabetichealthsolution.com.
Hounded by debt collectors with phone calls and letters? Thinking of calling a debt relief company? Don't. Greedy lawyers and debt companies charge thousands. Why pay when you can get their solution absolutely free with New York Times best-selling author Herb Kay's #1 debt secret, the how-to on stopping the calls without paying the debt companies. Yes, free for a very limited time. Here's Herb Kay.
Don't get ripped off by credit repair companies when I can give you the information you need to do it yourself for free.
Herb Kay was right. His free information helped me stop the calls and settle my debt.
What do you have to lose? Stop the calls now. Get out of debt and have more money. Get Herb Kay's #1 debt secret absolutely free now. Call 800-405-7850. That's 800-405-7850. 800-405-7850.
Okay. We're going to keep Don Adams 5 minutes in the next hour. Then we've got expert on the imploding climate gate, joining us. Big developments that affect all of us on that front, defeating the carbon tax. But Andy, I want to go to Robert, Fred, Shannon, and Wilson before our guest leaves us. His website's adamsjfk.com. Great information on the site and some DVDs documenting this so you can have actual video interviews with our guest. But Andy, does that answer your question? I mean, we have the former CIA assassination team commander who overthrew more than 10 countries, E. Howard Hunt, on record, deathbed confession, video, audio, and written, saying it was the big event. They were going to kill him in Miami. They were going to kill him in Chicago, but they decided on Dallas because good law enforcement continued to find out what was going on the white side of things and stopping it. I mean, do you understand? We just have bombshell evidence, just stacking and stacking and stacking. I mean, what are you getting at here, Andy?
I was just basically wondering if he sees any of those other reports, would he consider them 100% lies, or do they try and mix in facts to make it blurry? Before he answers the question, I quickly wanted to say I wasn't around when Kennedy was shot, so looking back at the news is hard to judge. So I think it's key that InfoWars is around right now, because I'll tell friends, if you want to watch the news, a month behind things happening, watch the news. If you want to know things 2 months before they happen, start listening to InfoWars. So seeing the way politicians spin things now, the way the news comes out, it's totally believable that it would be a cover-up.
All right, thank you, Andy. Let me get a comment from...
I just want to mention one other thing to Andy. Andy, you have to know one thing, that my work has always been just nothing but pure facts. I'm not speculating, and I'm not turning the information around. A PD officer by the name of Baker, PD officer by the name of Baker and the superintendent of the Texas School Book Depository confronted Oswald 1 second after the first shot was fired. And he was standing there drinking a Coke in the Coke room. And 3 other employees who worked with Oswald saw him there. So my big goal is to eliminate Oswald as even being a part of this thing. He played a very heavy role as a patsy, and they let him...
He was a CIA operative that's now been declassified, hung out to dry.
Exactly right.
And all of you government operatives need to remember that and understand that. When they got caught torturing, we had the White House memos ordering it. They sent the people to prison who did the torturing. Okay? And then Bush came out 2 months ago and said, yeah, I ordered the torture, I'd do it again on TV. People are in prison for doing that. They will hang you out to dry. Remember that for all you operatives out there. Robert in Illinois, you're on the air. Go ahead. Robert Drop, Fred in Ohio, go.
Yes, I've got 2 questions for Don. What was the 5 questions that he was allowed to ask Maltier, and what was the reason for the assassination? I know that JFK moved against the Federal Reserve Board, so I'd like to know that. I'll hang up and listen to the answers. Thank you very much.
I'll answer as quickly as I can. Federal Reserve Board was a very important decision that was made, and that had a very heavy impact on it. The second element that played a very heavy impact on it was to pull the troops out of Vietnam. When you take a country from military and put it back to civilian, there's a tremendous loss to a lot of people as far as big dollars is concerned. And so those 2 elements, I think, played a very, very strong part. I don't know the answer to this, but I speculate that they were involved in making it, getting that decision to take him out because of that. And let's see, the other thing that you asked was...
The 5 questions.
Oh, the 5 questions. I'm going to try to remember them as best I can, but one of them had to do with Martin Luther King when he was killed. Another one, the second question, and these are just short paragraphs with answers and stuff because I couldn't go into any...
Tell you what, stay there. Back in 70 seconds. We'll finish that question and then get to more calls.
This is GCN, the Genesis Communications Radio Network.
This is Alex Jones with 5 good reasons you should consider buying a solar power generator. Number 1, new climate legislation could easily double or triple your electric bill. Number 2, our new energy czar wants to control how much power your electric company allows you to have. It's true. Total government control of electricity in the name of smart grid technology is coming. Number 3, in some areas of the country, the power grid is dangerously overloaded. And now new socialist legislation is only compounding the problem. Number 4, dangerous weather is always a